Hi, this is a video for 2.6a, and I'm trying something a little different this time. I got a new tablet, and I'm going to try to write on it and use my new calculator that I love so much and share that all with you. So I think I'm going to have to hide my video because when I write on my tablet, I look like this. And you don't need to look at the top of my head for the whole video. So I'm going to try that. If I can figure out a way, I really like having my face on the video because I make lots of silly faces. If I can figure it out in future videos, I will. But for now, I'm going to go hide. Okay, so here I am sharing my screen. And then maybe I don't know how to. Okay, here we go. So for this section, we are doing 2.6 using measures of central tendency. So that means we are going to be discussing the mean. Ooh, okay, let me get on the writing tool. Perfect. The mean, median, and mode. Now, I think this is all going to be very easy because I think you've probably heard of all, if not all of these words before. Whew, okay, obviously I need a little help writing a little better. Anyways, I just want to emphasize a few things in this video. One is this phrase, measures of central tendency, which is just mean, median, and mode, but it's just like a fancier way of saying it. So you're going to see it throughout this section and throughout the homework. And then I also want to focus on how to use the calculator. Okay, so we're talking about centers of data. And the two most common are mean and median, and mean is just the average. So how do you do that? You add up all the values and you divide by the total number of values. In formula form, I'm going to change my color because I don't want this one. Okay, in formula form, the mean is written as the sum of the x's divided by n. So this first part, add up all the x's, is written like that, sigma x, and then divide the total number of numbers, the total number of values in any data set is going to be the letter n. The sum, the capital sigma, you'll see here and there throughout the semester, but that capital N, that lowercase n is huge. It means the total number of numbers from now and forever. Okay, so given the following data set, what is the mean? So all we're going to do is we're just going to add all of these numbers. I think it's getting mad because I'm putting my hand on the screen. Practice, practice. 5, 5, 6, 8, 9, another 9, and then a 13. I do not know what's going on with this writing. Obviously, I need to practice before my next video because that looks terrible. Anyways, you know how to do the mean, right? You add those all up, and we're going to divide by the total number of numbers, which is 10. So you can add that up on any calculator you want because, even your cell phone, it doesn't even matter because it's just finding the mean. You get 65 over 10. What is going on here? Let me just write it over here to hopefully fix the problem. 65 over 10, which is 6.5. Wow, that is a terrible equation. Okay, anyways, let's move on from that. That does not look good. Moving on. So the symbol for for mean is x bar for the sample. And for the population, it is mu. So these are the symbols that we're going to use not only for us in this class, like when I'm talking about it, but also in the calculator. You're also going to see these symbols being used. So let's do number 2 in the calculator. Good. That means I don't have to write as much. Okay. So what we're going to do is we want to add up all of these to find the mean. And then once we do that, we are going to divide by 12 because that's how many there are. Except we don't have to do that on this calculator. Okay, so I mentioned this in the orientation video. I like NumWorks. It is either an app or website, numworks.com. And what we're going to do here is we're going to look at calculation, which is calculation is just a regular calculator. What we want to do is look at statistics. So we're going to hit down. Okay. And I'm going to type in my list into the value V1 column. So I have 1.0. I just hit execute to go down. You'll notice the 1.0 just showed up as a 1. That's okay because the calculator knows it was 1.0. Okay, 1.4, 1.8. And again, you can hit the down arrow if you want. It doesn't matter. 2, 2.5, 3.5. 4.3. Oh, I made a mistake, so I just hit this little delete button right here. 4.3, 4.5, 4.8, 5, 5.3, and 6. Okay, perfect. This is looking for the sample mean. So it is looking for X bar. So on this calculator, I'm in data. I'm going to go all the way up to the top. Go over to stats, I hit OK. Now I can see right off the bat that N equals 12, which is exactly what we thought because it said there's 12 plants. And I'm going to scroll down until I see an X bar. And so right here, I see it says mean, but it says mu. So I'm going to go down to X bar because we're looking for the sample mean, and then it says sample mean, X bar, and to the nearest tenth, that becomes 3.5. Perfect. Now you'll notice mu and X bar are the same number, and that's okay. And it'll always be like that actually, because the formula for sample mean and the formula for population mean is the same. And the calculator doesn't know if this is a sample or a population. It does the same calculations, and so it doesn't matter which one you use right now. For some things, it will matter as we move on through this chapter, but for this, for sample mean or mean, it doesn't matter because they're the same answer, because they're the same formula. But again, if you ever get confused, it has the words on the left, and in the middle column, it has the symbol, and then the answer on the right. Okay, the reason I like this, now that one you could have done anyway, right? You could have done on your cell phone calculator. It's not a big deal. But this one, number 3, is a little trickier because it's a frequency table. So I'm going to go back, and it gets me to data, or I could have gone to the top and I could have moved over to data, either way. And I'm going to go down to my table, and I want to get rid of all this information and enter my information for number 3. Now, you could just delete everything, but there's 12 in the first column and 12 in the second column, so that's 24 delete. Or you could just hit Shift, and then it says clear above the delete button, and it will say, do you want to delete everything in column 1? Yes, I do. Hit OK, and now everything's gone. That's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. It's a very quick way to delete everything. So now for number 3, since this is a frequency table, I'm going to enter my data into the to the V1 value column, and I'm going to enter the frequency into the N1 frequency column. Now, if I just enter my value, my data first, it automatically gives me a 1 for every frequency, and that's fine. I could just easily type over it. I don't even have to hit delete, and it just changes. And to me, it's easier just to go down than to go across, down, across, down. You know, it's up to you, whatever you like to do. So now I have all of my information. I'm going to go back up, go over to stats, hit OK, go down to mean for this. And I don't know if it's a sample or a population, but again, it doesn't matter. I'll just say this is a population because, again, it's the same. I just want to practice writing the other one. And so this is mu, which is kind of like a U and an M smushed together. It's pronounced M-U. That's the Greek letter mu, lowercase. And in this example, the answer is 4. So just to recap, for today, when you're looking for the mean, it doesn't matter if it's the sample or the population, it will be the same in the calculator. As we move forward in the class, they will have different values because they're going to be looking at different numbers, and it will be very specific which one you're looking for. And so that's why we have 2 different letters. Because some of you are probably like, well, if it's the same, why do we care if it's 2 letters? Well, when you're outside the calculator, we have 2 different values. So we'll get to that not till chapter 6, so we don't have to worry about it for a while. The median is a number that splits the data set in half, with half smaller and half larger. And actually, I'm not going to use the calculator for the rest of this, so I'm just going to make this bigger so that way we can see better. Okay, so we have the median, splits it in half. So the first thing we have to do for median is to write it in number order. Trying to, oh, you know what? I forgot I could use my mouse on this. Well, please, okay, here we go. So I'm going to write it in number order, and that becomes 40, 40. It appears twice, so I write it twice. 42. I'm not messing with commas because, as you've seen, I've already had a hard enough time writing on this tablet. However, oh gosh, I thought that was an error. However, it doesn't matter if you have commas or not, because we're just making a list. Okay, let's go back to my 2. 42, 48, 54. I don't know why sometimes my 4s look good and sometimes they don't. 61, 65, 72. Kind of tedious to write them in number order, especially when you're having trouble writing, but we'll get there. Okay, 76, just fast forward if you're already there. 76, 78, 84, 84. Good thing we don't need those messy numbers. They're not part of the answer. Okay, so for this problem, n equals 12. Because there's 12 of them. And that only matters because it is even. Goodness. I wonder if I could just type, not that I don't have my calculator. Voila. Okay. N is even. Perfect. 9% needs to be set by anywhere. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to find the exact middle of this. Since n is 12, there are 12 divided by 2 is 6. If I divided this evenly, there'd be 6 on one side, 6 on the other side. So I count 1, 2. Oops, that is not how I count. 3, 2, dot. Okay, whatever. You know how to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So between 65, there we go, is the halfway point, because there's 6 numbers on this side and there's 6 numbers on this side. So really, as messy as my list is, the only numbers we need are 65 and 61, and the median is going to be the number right in between those two, which is the number 63. If you can't figure that out, and because sometimes the numbers are really far apart, or they're decimals, or they're really hard, we're just finding the average. So you do 61 with the midpoint, same thing, plus 65, the two numbers, divided by 2. And that is our median, 63. Okay, I'm just going to make up another problem real quick just to talk about what happens when it's odd. Just write it up here, and I'm going to make a real easy number set right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and it's already in number order, so we don't have to worry about making a mess. And so when I look for halfway, because n equals 5, which is an odd number, then I can't just go, oh, cut it in half, 2.5 on this side, 2.5 on that side. But what I can do is I could say 2 on the left, 2 on the right, and then right in the middle, we have the number 3. And so we still have that same rule where it's cut, where we have 2 numbers. The worst thing, my worst talent is using this, in case you couldn't tell. 2 numbers on that side, 2 numbers on that side, and we have that wonderful 3 in the middle. So for this problem right here, we have that the median is 3. Oh gosh. Right, and that's a weird jump. I just typed it so perfectly. Median is 3. Down here, we have the median with 6. Okay. Again, I don't think this is much brand new information for you. I just wanted to really show you how to enter the list in the calculator because we're going to be using that for all kinds of stuff throughout the whole entire course for the rest of the year. Okay, next up it says, what is the mode? And that is what happens the most. So on this one, we have, we just look at the numbers that happen the most, and I can see that there's 3 5s. So we have all of those. So the mode is 5. 8. I don't even remember how to read it anymore. Okay, whatever. I'm almost done, so I'm just going to ignore that. The mode is 5. Down here on number 6, we have 2 modes because we have 2 1s, but then we also have 2 6s. So we know that the mode is going to be 1 and 6 because they both occur twice. Or not, it doesn't matter that it's twice. They both occur the most. They both occur the same amount of time. Okay, we're almost done. And then I'll get better at writing in my next video. How to pick the best measures of central tendency? Well, we have these rules. When the data set is close together and there is no outlier, then that situation, we want to use the mean. We are going to use the median if there's an outlier because it's going to affect the average. So that way, if it's an outlier, it doesn't affect the median. And we'll talk about that more in the next video. But if there's an outlier, then we use the median. And then rarely will we do this one, but we will use the mode if we have an outlier and, more importantly, several repeated numbers. That's when we would use the mode because the mode is talking about the repeated numbers. Okay, so last 2 problems. For this first one, it says, here's the liquor sales for the past week. What is the best measure of central tendency? And so right off the bat, I'm noticing this giant number right here. Perhaps that's like a Friday night and people are buying everything for the weekend. But for some reason, this particular day had a much higher number than the rest. And so since it just has the one outlier, then the median is the best way. Up here, we're going to use the median. It has an outlier. And that's it, no repeated numbers. All right, last but not least, it says, should we use the mean or the median with these basketball scores? And what I'm seeing in this list is there's no outlier. So therefore, the better choice between mean and median would be the mean. Because really, the mean is the best choice. The only time I want to be here and see faces. Okay. The mean is the best. I love the mean. The mean is typically the most accurate, but when there's outliers, the median will be better because the median will chop off those ends. Will chop off either a really small or a really big outlier. So best is mean. If there's outliers, we're going to use median, and then pretty much never use mode, but it's kind of fun to do because it's super easy. So I just threw it in there because it's covered in the text. Okay, so I am going to practice my writing, and you are going to do 2.6a, and we'll meet up in the next video. Email me if you have any questions. Thanks.